Hello everyone and welcome to another video by Centipede Geek. In this film I'll be talking about a movie made in the year of 2021 by the name of Candyman. And you can call this film a spiritual sequel, you can call it a soft reboot, whatever you want to call it. It is the successor to the film back in 1992 that shares the same name of Candyman, originally coming from a short story by Clive Barker by the name of The Forbidden, and it stars actors such as Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Teyonah Parris, Nathan Stewart Jarrett, and Coleman Domingo, along with Vanessa Williams, Tony Todd, and Virginia Madsen. And spoilers obviously ahead, they reprised their roles from the original film, according to the sources I'm looking at on Wikipedia. But so what's this film about? Well, it takes our Candyman and it kind of changes some of the original telling of who he is and what he's all about. It's pretty much this haunting character or this haunting presence that has a hook in his hand. And we have this, at least in this film, we have this character that he's a painter, he's an artist, and he slowly becomes obsessed with this old case back from the 90s, or all these sort of murders that happened to these black victims of years ago. And it's all these victims happen to be, as we find out later on, black people that were killed by white cops and stuff like that. So overall, what did I think of this movie? I really enjoyed Candyman. I have to say, this is probably one of my favorite films of all this year. I really liked it. This one's a lot different from the old film in the way where I feel like the old film with Tony Todd was a great movie, don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed it. It's a 90s classic, I have to say. Tony Todd does a great job in it. It's more focused on, while I will say the 90s one, I feel like it does have something to say when it comes to that kind of story, but I feel like it's more about blood and gore and stuff like that, where in my opinion on this Candyman, this one's more focused on style, and I feel like it's trying to say something more than the old one did, where we find out that it's almost like these Candyman characters they're like vigilantes, and they're vigilantes for the black community, where these black victims were killed by white cops because of racism and prejudice and stuff like that. And I feel like this movie has a lot to say when it comes to topics and stories and cases like that, whereas the old one may have had a little bit to say about that. This one had a lot to say about that whole thing, and I really liked that. It really took that story, and it took the Candyman story, and it turned it on its head, where Candyman is not just one person, it's not just one murderer. It's, as they say in the film, it's the whole damn hive. And I really liked that whole story. I really enjoyed the ending too, how our character, once again, you have to forgive me if I pronounce his name wrong, the character of Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, and he pretty much just becomes another victim killed by white cops. He became everything that he didn't want. He didn't want to be just another victim. He wanted to be the voice of reason, the voice that fought for all these black people, but he became just another victim to these white cops. And I enjoyed the story in the fact that at the end he became, like I said, almost like this vigilante, where he got some sort of justice and some sort of retribution for him dying, and then for all the other black victims that had died before him. So like I said, Candyman isn't just this one character. It's the such and such girl that died before him, and the such and such guy that died, and all these other black victims. It just has a really cool story that I really latched on to, and I think a lot of modern audiences, especially people within the black community, could really, like something like this. And I think a movie like this really has a lot to say. It's just a really neat movie, and it's really cool that it came out during this time, obviously with the COVID-19 pandemic, and it was able to make a lot of money. Right now, it's grossed at least $53 million worldwide, according to Wikipedia, against a $25 million budget. I don't know if the movie will have any sort of sequel. To me, it doesn't really seem like it will, but if it did, I certainly wouldn't be against it, as long as some of the same directors and screenplay and actors and stuff like that came back. They bring Tony Todd back at the very end, which is really cool. He's right there where you see his face just for a split second as it goes between different Candymans or different victims of white cops in the past. And it shows Tony Todd for just a second. And I thought that was a really neat and inventive way uh, to show Tony Todd in the movie. And for some people, people may not like this movie because maybe it's a little too modern or maybe they don't like the message and stuff like that. But for me, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the message of the movie. And for me, Tony Todd not being in the movie wasn't a detrimental factor or anything like that. For me, Tony Todd didn't need to be in the movie for me to like it. I liked how we had something new and it took this Candyman story and really turned it on its head. There's some great, this first movie has the sequences of blood. This one has some great sequences too, as the hook is cut on their ankles and stuff like that. You have the scene towards the end where they're in the church and the guy from the laundromat is shoving the hook into his arm. You've got the scene where he takes his fingernail and his fingernail starts to fall off. He's slowly turning into this Candyman character as his face looks like it was burned or stung by a bunch of bees or wasps, and his arm is slowly decaying. It's got some really neat scenes in there that I really liked. But overall, just a great movie. I really enjoyed Candyman. Like I said, probably one of my favorite films to come out this year. Thanks for watching another video by Centipede Geek for my film review of the 2021 film with the name of Candyman. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe below. And thanks for watching.